And welcome back to Otaku News Live for February 19th, 2011, where we're talking about the anime and manga news of the week. As always, I have with me my wonderful set of guest hosts, Matt Dixon from the Life and Tims of Anime.
Hello, Legend. It is a pleasure to be here, as always.
Yes. And Miniman as well here, doing his review thing wherever he can.
The unmovable object of the week. Here to review everything and anything when you don't want me to.
There we go. And Rising Zan from the Otaku Underground.
Suresh is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in the chat like a while ago. I know it was pretty random. I thought I'd catch on though. But yeah, it's like you're whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our first story of the week, the borrower Arrietty gets a Japanese Academy Award, which I'm sure is deserved even though I haven't seen it. So this is the latest Studio Ghibli movie. They got a Japanese Academy Award for Best Animation of the Year.
That's not news.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about Studio Ghibli, is them, of course. And of course they were going up against the Case Closed movie, which okay, not a big surprise there. But still, good to see that they're still on top of their game, I suppose.
Honestly, what actually I found out that they actually have the borrowers over in France right now.
Say again?
They have the borrowers in France. Like I think it's dubbed. I'm pretty sure it's dubbed.
Oh, okay.
The borrowers, yeah, the movie that won the award.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the reason why I wanted to talk with this wasn't so much to praise the borrowers, because obviously I haven't watched it, and I've only seen like one French man's review of it. But to just kind of I don't want to say it like this, but just like ask why for one of these nominations, because I've heard of it, and basically it's the animation short series called Colorful. I've watched 4 episodes of this. And
this is not that.
Episodes.
This is not that.
Oh, it's not?
No. I totally understand why you're confused. There was a new movie called Colorful that came out this year. And it's completely different from that, but it's got the exact same name. Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah, because for a second there, I was going to rant and rave about why the hell did they freaking put a show about panty shots in the top animations of Japan? Why?
Yeah. No, this is apparently
underground, and you watched it.
Yeah, this is apparently a very sensitive story of some boy growing. I don't know, but
good,
yeah, it's worth being in there. Not unlike that Colorful.
Yes. However, I'm glad that One Piece Strong World got a nomination. That was cool.
True.
It was a really cool movie, especially the part where the Straw Hat Crew was in that one Japanese inn place.
Me no see it yet.
It's in the trailer anyway, but it's awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, that's really cool, and also Summer Wars, also the last animation award for those of you who remember. For some reason, I want to group Summer Wars and The Girl Who Lived Through Time in the same studio for some reason.
That's because they're directed by the same guy.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, actually, I bought Summer Wars an English dub DVD by Funimation for my birthday. $15.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this was going to be more interesting because I thought I was going to rave about Colorful, but I guess not. Huh.
Yeah.
Summer Wars is awesome, and I'm sure Borrowers is good because it's Ghibli.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of remarkable. I mean, I don't know if we talked about this before, but it's actually kind of hard for a studio to remain on top of its game for, 20 years? 25 now, really. I mean, starting with arguably Nausicaa back in 1984. They've been doing movies that everyone kind of agrees are high quality, interesting, classic, if you will, modern instant classics. But yeah, I mean, they've been doing that for a very long time.
Yeah, I have to say that Pixar and Ghibli are kind of like pretty much like very exactly the same companies in the same way.
Yeah.
Both of them are pretty good with their messages. Sometimes Pixar can get a little cliche with like stuff like Cars, for example, where it's like the same story we've heard 1,000 times. But you know, I'd say Pixar and Ghibli are in like the same kind of area, like kind of rivals. You know, East versus West. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of interesting anime films, we've got this new A Letter to Momo film coming out, and all we know is that the staff is kind of stunning.
Oh yeah.
So we've got Hiroyuki Okiura, who directed Jinro, and we have
Fascinating film.
yeah, arguably the best.
I haven't
Moro-
seen it. I just know it's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, it's awesome.
That's kind of the thing about Jinro. You've also got Masashi Ando, who was the animation director on Princess Mononoke, character designer on Paprika and Paranoia Agent. I mean, what more do you need to know? Toshiyuki Inoue, who was key animator on Akira, character designer on A Tree of Palm and Magnetic Rose, and also animation director on the new Satoshi Kon film that's coming out. And then Takeshi Honda, which actually is a name I've heard of. He's the animation director on EVA 2.0 and character designed on the Beyond segment in the Animatrix and in Blue 76.
Beyond.
Oh yeah. Actually, which one
was
is
the Beyond one?
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
Wait, if I can't remember.
Yeah.
Beyond. Oh, Beyond was the really trippy
What
one.
was it? I don't know.
It was the really trippy one where the girl was seeing the agents because.
Oh, is that one? Yeah.
And she was freaking out about it. It's her
Yeah.
going gradually insane.
Yeah.
It was the really freaky one that wasn't the one with the robot in it.
Or with the house where the kids were defying gravity and
No,
stuff.
that's the one.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yes.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing, that one. I love
That was probably my favorite, and very Ghibli-esque, actually.
Yeah.
So he did characters on that, and on Blue Sub 6, and on Denno Coil, one of my favorite little unknown anime. So they're all doing this thing called A Letter to Momo. All they've said about it so far, and let me pull up the notes so I get the quote exactly right. They've stated that they want to see here. That it's a date movie for Ryaju. Ryaju being a slang term for essentially non-otaku, people who enjoy real-life people as opposed to 2D girls. So they're making it, and the idea there is that there are a fair number of, actually a lot of anime movies are kind of good date movies. And so the idea is this is a date movie for folks who aren't necessarily otaku. So interesting to see where it's going to go.
Here's what I have to say, though. Okay,
Yep.
so you have like these amazing people who made these amazing movies. Jinro, even though I don't exactly know what that's about. Princess Mononoke, action, adventure. Akira, action, adventure. Evangelion, action, adventure. And they're doing a date movie.
Well, you say that, but all of them do have extremely deep romantic subplots.
Actually, and I apologize, I read that completely wrong. The news story is talking about 3 movies at once. And that is a quote for another movie. I don't know quite why they combined them all into one news story. They have not said anything at all about A Letter to Momo. That quote is actually about the new Sora no Otoshimono film, which is kind of
weird.
interesting.
Well, yeah, but even looking at the picture, though, it looks kind of like a
it does.
kind of slice of life.
Very much so.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's gonna fail. Of course not. It's not gonna fail. It's gonna look freaking beautiful. I already know that. It's gonna be interesting, and that's what I think so far. I mean, because you have all these guys, these like excellent like animation gods, I guess you could say. But I don't know. It's just like it looks like a weird thing for the new because it looks so realistic, so normal. But you know, their works are like so adventure-esque, so you know, original, these wide, different worlds, and I don't know.
It might be one of those things too, where they're kind of like, okay, you know, we want to do something different now. We've been doing great action adventure. Okay, let's do something quiet for once.
But that doesn't mean that's not exactly a good thing, though. I mean, look at what happened to actors all the time want to be serious, and it never really works out. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually raised a good point, as Brent. That's probably the most likely case because we have seen a lot of actors do that kind of thing. Like Jim Carrey now does a lot more serious films, and that went very well. 23. was amazing. So yeah, hopefully this will do pretty well. Hold high hopes. You know, when a director wants to do something different, more often than not, they're going to put a lot more effort into it because it's it's the first time they're doing something different, so they're going to want to show people that they can do something.
True.
You know, with an actor, it doesn't always work out because they don't get a good film because they're an actor. They don't really have a choice of what script they do. But when it's a director or directors in this case doing something different, they have a lot bigger a choice of what they do, write, draw, and feature.
Yeah.
You know, so they can obviously change a lot more and put a lot more effort into it. So hopefully that will come out really well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that these are all animation guys.
Yeah.
So are they like all going to be the directors?
I don't know.
That's going to be awkward.
I'm assuming they're all going to be basically like animation directors, not the directors.
Right.
So so they'll have responsibilities for certain parts of the animation.
Makes sense.
But we'll see, and that can be difficult to coordinate.
Well, let's just hope that in the first part of this movie we won't have like a motorcycle race, and then the next part we'll have Evangelion come down.
Well, I mean, looking at our nice, wonderfully realistic, uber lovely screenshot, we have it. I mean, to me, yeah, it seems great, but the fact that they're trying to make this, well, as far as we know, a very realistic thing. I mean, its animation is going to be smooth, its animation is going to be lovely, and all that sort of thing. But to me, I think it's going to have a touch of the perfect blue about it, in which it's going to, I mean, not for budgetary complaints anymore, just for the general style. To say, anime can do this.
That's true.
But I think
it's
going to be one of those things in which don't judge it as an anime, judge it as an actual live-action film, which is done in the anime style. So, I don't know, I'm not going to say that having all these wonderful, absolutely fantastic directors on is a waste, because the animation style looks extremely realistic, and I'm guessing they're part of making that.
Yeah.
But, I think if anything, you just have to completely not worry, but wait until we find stuff about the story and who's actually directing that part of it. Until we can actually sort of look at it and things. But if we got the guy who did the Beyond thing of the Animatrix, then you are totally fine, because this style completely matches that.
True.
And it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a very good point. When you look at their works, I mean, EVA 2.0, Jinro, Tree of Palm, Paprika, Paranoid Agent, these aren't typical anime movies. They're action-y, possibly, but they are trying to be more like a movie that happens to be animated. So, I think that they're definitely kind of going in that direction of saying, we're not really making an anime per se, we're making a film with animation in it. Well, we'll see.
That could work, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. There certainly is that whole subsection of anime folks who kind of don't want to be seen as just we make cartoons. So maybe this is a push in that direction. So, also, speaking of a lot of film news, actually, Saint Seiya CGI film in the works?
Okay, the first thing I want to say about it is this. Saint Seiya! I love that in the openings. But yeah, Saint Seiya, very interesting because, it's never been really well perceived here in America. First of all, it's called Knights of the Zodiac here in the U.S., which I always thought weird. Well, I'll just call it Saint Seiya. Probably because it's the whole saint thing. Anyway, that's weird.
Wow.
I actually I've tried getting into the manga of this. I've tried to get into the anime of this. I guess I can understand if this is like one of these classic anime battle mangas. But the thing is, I could never get into them just because it was so. I've seen this so many times. I mean, of course, this is probably the one that started it all, but just like I haven't been able to ever get into it. But however, looking at the photo of the Saint Seiya movie, I wouldn't mind seeing it. Honestly, it looks really good, and honestly, I love it when battle manga are put into live action. I love it. Has anyone seen the Sakagate Okijutsu live action movie?
No.
No.
Really great.
Oh wait,
and even a badass theme song.
Oh yes, I have actually.
Oh, you have?
Stunned. Yes, that is a really fun movie.
I love that theme song.
I love
the song. Is so badass.
I love the guy who runs the school actually. Yeah, that's a really wow. It's been a long time since I thought about that movie. But yeah, so an all CGI Saint Seiya movie. One of the issues, of course, has been that there hasn't been a lot of really great CGI coming out of Japan ever. So
is it CGI?
Yeah.
It says CGI. Oh, it looks realistic though.
Yeah. Which kind of worries me actually, because it's okay, we're going to spend a lot of time rendering this one frame, which isn't what it's going to look like. Well, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, it's always tough with those promotional images, but you know, nice thing. Actually, it's good seeing this. You know, I like it when studios will take a property and make this approach where they're like, we're not going to risk a lot of money on a new TV series, but we'll do a movie. And you know, folks can come in and see it. If they haven't seen Saint Seiya, this is an opportunity to get familiar with it. And you know, those who have can come in and watch it. It's a relatively low risk way, I think, of making something. You can be nice and big and bold and so forth. And it's a way of keeping that chronology without requiring you to come back and doing a new series or OVA or every 3 years or what have you. So interesting. You know, quite a few movies coming up. Touhou. This is surprising. So what's going on here? So the
So from what I read. From what I've read, it just seems like the guy is just asking, is just talking about merchandise.
Okay.
And he's talking, you know, Touhou. At first, Touhou was just something this guy made in his basement. You know, Touhou started as a bullet hell game, and for those of you who don't know what bullet hell is, it's like the shoot 'em up genre. You know, where you're like this little plane and you shoot stuff, except much more ridiculous. That's where it started. It's like one of the most popular, best. Bullet hell games ever. Then it became a fighting game.
Contra.
Well, actually,
Contra's more of a shooter, I'd say, but this is like, you know, the shoot 'em up where you like have to like go up and down and dodge bullets, and like these bullets are everywhere though, and also you don't get the spread, you don't get the spreader gun in this game.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. Contra is actually one of the sort of progenitors of that genre, where they were the first one where there's just so much going on the screen that you kind of got to find the gaps as opposed to anything else.
I'm not advertising that you Contra at all. Hardcore uprising, 1,200 Microsoft points, get it now. Awesome.
But yeah, and that's the thing about these Touhou, these bullet hell games, is literally you're trying to find the path between the bullets as opposed to anything else. So go ahead.
Well, that's what it first was. Then it became a fighting game, and you actually got to know a little bit more about the characters, because obviously, you know, the planes aren't really planes, they're girls, and they fly and they shoot projectiles, you know. One's a witch, one's a demon, one's a transdimensional girl, one's a drunken ogre, but they all look really cute little girls.
Right.
I even have one of the games on my my laptop, and I love it, even though it's extremely hard to play. But yeah, this game is like, it's so awesome because it's just like it started out just something this guy did for free. I mean, you can download the game for free, I'm pretty sure. On the internet.
You can get it for 80 points on the Indie Games Marketplace on Xbox as well.
Can you get it there in English?
No, it has a Japanese title and everything's in Japanese, but I have downloaded the demo before.
Okay.
I got a translation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But here's the thing that I just see with the thing. Basically, it just means the guy is just being like, okay, so for this stuff, obviously he wants permission from the person who wants to make the merchandise for it. He wants them to ask permission, and then he has certain rules about stuff like, for example, I'm trying to look here. Discretion. He wants the applicants who ask him for permission to have discretion for goods with sexual connotations, like hugging pillows, dakimakura, that kind of stuff.
Which we know exists.
Then he talked about stuff for like development of commercial anime projects, you know, and he wanted he added that the new restriction applies to cell animation. The restriction did not apply to works of 3D software or to illustrations and special effects.
Which I suspect that's because of things like Dojin work. There are a lot of these programs and things like Idolmaster, and a lot of these games where you can kind of make your own anime character in 3D. I think he's basically saying, if you're doing that, okay, I don't have a problem with it. It's when you're actually sitting down and making a cell-based anime that you're now moving into more, commercial work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He also placed restrictions on sales of works, both doujin and commercial, on the Xbox Live Indie Games Marketplace for the Xbox 360 console, and the Apple's App Store for the iPhone, the iOS, and Android market phones for other devices. Another restriction applies to sales, downloads, and other channels that go beyond traditional means of doujin works.
Right.
And finally, he restricted overly sexual depictions of defamation against certain individuals, groups, or races that are determined to go against common decency. This one I actually find really interesting because this is like the exact opposite you'd expect from coming from Japan.
Well, and that's the thing, is that, wouldn't defamation against certain individuals, groups, or races be illegal anyway?
Yeah, I guess, but sometimes Japan does like to push the boundaries in a joking way.
True.
But the thing that I find amazing is that he's sitting down and just be like, okay, if you want to do this, ask me for permission. Now, if you're gonna ask permission, you can't do this, this.
Well, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I can wait.
Well, one of the interesting sides of that story is that UFO Table last September announced they were doing an anime project where they're mixing Touhou project characters with anime Tenjo.
Yeah.
For those of you who've seen Lucky Star, the guy who runs that store, that is an actual mascot character.
I have not yet watched all of Lucky Star, but I love that guy.
Yes, yeah. He shows up again in Comic Cat. He's awesome. Anyway, so they were going to do, and so, Zun was asked about this, and he said he had no idea that was going on. So I suspect this is tied into that, where he's like, folks are now making full-scale anime projects based on my work. Maybe I should put in some restrictions to keep that from happening without my knowledge.
Yeah, actually, a Touhou ONV has already been done before, and I think we even talked about this. Like there was a Touhou ONV, even a fandom for it. It was awesome.
Wow.
And there's an OEV done for this, and I think that's like the start of this really rolling up in this one, because this game is hot here in America.
Yeah.
It's hot, even hotter in Japan. I don't know about England, obviously, as usual.
No one's heard of it. It's just an accident that we found it.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't call this as wacky. I call it more as other news.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's not so much wacky, I just find this really impressive that, he's finally up to this point.
Yeah.
That he is doing all this, and I'm looking forward to seeing one of my favorite Touhou character in this crossover.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy that this guy who made this thing in his basement is now realizing, wow, UFO Table is making an anime based on my works.
Yeah, and UFO Table look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, no one heard of it then. Oh, here comes Karaoke Yokai. And anyone who doesn't know, the whole point of UFO Table is they're basically like the Valve of anime industry. They'll delay everything if it's not 100% brilliant.
Yep.
So they did a 7-episode series called Karaoke Yokai, and it was originally scheduled to be done in a year and ended up starting in 2005 and ended last year.
Yeah.
in December, and it was awesome for it. So yes, and also they do gorgeous animation, which would probably work well when it's a bullet hell game.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this is a studio that's done things like, let's see, Gundam 00, the movie, Read or Die, the TV series, Sora no Woto, Toramijutsu no Index, there's some tweening on that, Valkyria Chronicles, White Album, actually did some work on Gurren Lagann, Full Metal Alchemist, both of them. Gare Zero, Coyote Ragtime Show, Code Geass. I mean, they've been doing a heck of a lot.
Well, Code Geass, I've lost respect for them now.
Hey, Geass.
Just tweening.
Oh, okay. No, Uvatog, you are great then.
Yeah, for the record though, the Valkyria Chronicles anime was very weird because they tried to make. Well, it was cool because they made Alicia the main character, even though Welkin was the main character in the games. However, one thing I did not like was they faked in a love triangle between her, and that was stupid as all hell. And this is basically for you. They made the love triangle between her, Welkin, and Welkin's best friend. Yeah, remember the one who did that one thing to her?
Yeah.
Yeah, so weird love triangle.
Although I will admit that I do like those OVAs for one reason, and that is they do actually, they hide little passwords in them. And if you type in the passwords, this is the PSP version of Valkyria Chronicles 2, if you look close enough, and you work it out, you get like all sorts of cool stuff. Like I've got a massive Bayonetta logo on the side of my tank.
Nice.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and also you can get the best friend of Belkin's best friend as a character to play, he is so useful. He runs really fast because he's a weird guy.
All right, that's actually everything that we listed. Anything else we wanted to cover? Sort of a quiet news week.
Did not want to cover Funimation.
Funimation is dying.
Oh, that's true. Yes, thank you. Somehow that didn't get marked properly.
Yeah, he was just kind of sitting there being like, or something. All right. So what was the news story? It was like Funimation, the bar.
Well, a reporter named Eric Weifering in the Minneapolis Star Tribune, which is a very good newspaper actually. He posted a column about Funimation and Navarre Corporation in general, which owns Funimation. They're both based in Minnesota, Navarre and the newspaper. Anyway, he did some research into the company and found that, let's see here, Funimation's 2004 net sales totaled $72 million. Their 2010 net sales were $35 million. So their net sales have dropped over half in the past 4 years or so.
That's what you get for delaying Phantom.
Yeah. And Navarre's stock overall has dropped 75% since their purchase of Funimation. And actually, it's even a little worse than that. Their pre-tax income for Funimation was $29.8 million back in 2004. Now it is $10 million. So it's a third of what it used to be. So it's just, it's looking pretty bad.
Yeah, it's just a shame to see Funimation doing so bad, really. It's because again, Funimation is very similar to 4Kids. It's one of the companies that brings people into anime these days. So you know, seeing it drop so much in sales is it's really just disheartening for the Western otaku community. Seeing because you know, a lot of people are very similar to 4Kids. They don't like Funimation. You know, I see no reason why they brought some of the amazing stuff to the West, but you know, seeing a big giant like that be brought down to its knees, basically, is not a good omen for the Western otaku community. See, you know, if Funimation's not doing well, think about 4Kids, think about everything else. Yeah. You know, if Funimation's dropped half, everything else has dropped at very least 3/4. You know, it's bad times. We're in the dark ages of Western otaku, basically.
We really are.
Well, the thing is that Funimation have sort of stopped licensing the right stuff. I mean, you know, when it's like in the years before they did this, like in 2005, 2006 sort of thing, in the 4 year before the drop, you know, they just licensed stuff like Iran, and they just licensed Code Geass, and you look at their YouTube account, and if you look at their uploads of sort of adverts and stuff, it just slowly degrades over time. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Funimation, you were completely and utterly wrong to license Phantom Requiem for the Phantom. No one was going to buy it, only me.
Yeah.
No one was going to buy that show. You lost money because of me. I'm sorry, and you didn't even bring it to me. And the thing is that Funimation, I mean, look, no one wants another Oh My Goddess movie badly dubbed into English. Stop selling them. No one.
Well, yeah, but we can't just blame Funimation for this. Because, again, their sales have dropped, so they can't exactly afford all of the licensing fees. They can't, it's like we talk about animation, Western animation studios need to take more risks, but at this point, they really can't afford it.
Yeah.
If they take a risk, they've got to be damn lucky. They've got to take a risk and it sell damn well for them to ever take a risk again. And because their sales are low, a lot of the Japanese companies might even be saying, no, we don't want you to license this. We don't want you to bother. There's no point, kind of thing.
That's what Bandai's been doing. That's been their sort of approach, is realizing, it's better for us to do this ourselves. And that might be a direction in the future. And I don't imagine everyone doing that. And of course, Bandai is kind of a special case because they're huge in Japan. They've got their hands in everything, so they can kind of afford to do that. ToeAni is not going to do this anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's troubling for us over here, where, like I said, and especially with the otaku market kind of stabilizing and even shrinking over in Japan, there's just not much reason for them to license over here anymore. They may just stay Japanese, forever.
Well,
which basically means all the Western otakus need to start learning Japanese.
Yes, or buy your frickin' anime.
It's true, very true.
Yeah. Buy it if it comes over here. But I mean, I'm sad about Funimation going, and I'm sad that we're probably going to reach like massive dark ages, because it's probably in the next, if they go down in the next 10 years, we're actually going to go probably straight back to the point of no one knows what otaku is, and again, then we just need the next idiotic legend who decides to do Pokemon, put this new Ultra version, which is probably a mix of Ben 10 and something, and Ben 10 meets Pokemon.
Hey, there we go.
Ben 500, however many Pokemon there are.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But it's just, to be honest, and I know it sounds really bad, but Funimation going down, I understand its implications on the market, I understand how bad it is and all this thing, and under that, but me, personally, I'm British, and therefore, as a British person, we don't like Funimation. They're not nice to us. They're not at all.
But you have to realise, even if you don't like Funimation, because I'm sort of on and off with them, but even if we don't like them, if they go down, a lot of other studios will as well. They might not go down for economic reasons. They might just say, well, if Funimation's done, we're done. We're moving on to cartoons, other cartoons. That's very likely what will happen, because again, Funimation is a giant to a lot of the Western companies, and if it goes down, a lot of companies will just give up hope.
And to Many Man's point, I mean, when you look at the stuff they've licensed recently, I'm sitting down here, and there's some good stuff. At the same time,
no
there's
one's
stuff
going to
like
buy Shuku Fuku no Campanella.
Gare Zero, Gadgard, Hellgirl, Oedo Rocket. A lot of these series they licensed recently are just not Sergeant Frog. I mean, I love Sergeant Frog, but that's got a pretty darn specific group of people there, an audience, and it's just really hard. Strike Witches even, you
mentioned Sergeant Frog, one sec.
Yeah.
Did the glasses. Someone mentioned in one of the comments that we should do a Spike Spiegel bang as a tribute to Sergeant Frog, but it seems more a tribute to Spike Spiegel.
Yes, indeed.
So whoever mentioned that should be shot with a bang.
Bang. There we go.
Hello, commenter. We love you as a fan and as a loyal reject.
But yes, so that's it is a big issue. Now, granted, I mean, Funimation has been very clear about this and about the fact that things aren't doing well, and that they're taking steps. I mean, it could well be that they're basically saying, look, we're licensing Gare Zero because we can put it out in such a way that it will make us a little money, and it's enough to keep us going. I suspect they're going after the cheaper licenses for that exact reason. I think it's one of the reasons why didn't they pass on Kannagi? Yes, because Kannagi was a really expensive license, and that wasn't explicitly stated, but everyone kind of knew it. So I think it's one of those things where they're like, that's just not going to sell enough. We're going to go after these things that we can say, hey, this is big action adventure or whatever.
Yeah. What I don't see is why they don't just start looking on like Crunchyroll and see what's popular. You just ask Crunchyroll what's popular on your website, and then they tell them, and then they license them.
Yeah.
There's it seems like they are missing the trick there. That just instead of because again we talk about taking risks. Instead of taking a risk, ask the fans what they want. Just for every on all the DVDs that they sell, they just start putting in a leaflet in and say, write down the name of the anime you want, and then send it off, put it on a website, put it on the internet, put it in an email.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I'm pretty sure they do that. At least, for example, I bought the Gurren Lagann movie Childhood's Head online. When I opened it, it came with a leaflet yes, it's actually Manga Entertainment, not doing this. But it came with a leaflet saying, what's your favorite genre of anime? What anime would you like to see come overseas? It had all that down, and I sent it in via postcard.
Yeah, that's good.
Was this Funimation, you said?
no,
No, it was Manga Entertainment, technically.
Oh, okay.
Well, then Funimation needs to start doing it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Although, one of the problems there...
Technically they didn't dub it. It's Aniplex? I guess it's Aniplex? Yeah. Aniplex.
Well, it's one of the issues there, too, is that everyone's going to say, give me Naruto cheaper. Yeah. I mean, what are they going to license that is going to make them money, is I think the issue, and that they can afford.
Well, I think what Funimation tried to do is, the reason they died in the last 4 years is because they tried to the reason they suddenly went down to smaller projects is they're trying to prove to the Otaku community that they were licensing the small things for them, so that there's this massive backlog library of anime there, and they're trying to reinvigorate their image. But the problem is, so that they wouldn't seem like complete cold-hearted solicitors, and that they'd actually seem like people who were there to get every anime and pick the ones out.
Yeah.
And like just a storage of anime. And what's happened is that they made a mistake doing that, because while it almost seems like a good idea in a way, because obviously without them I wouldn't be watching Phantom. What am I saying? But it's just like, I think that the reason that they're not doing that to such an extent is probably because they've made the mistake of saying, we just have to wait. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to stall. They're just trying to stall the deficit until the one thing. And I am sure in the next 5 years they are going to risk a lot on one thing. I am absolutely sure it will happen in the next 5 years, and we're going to see either a bust or boom situation.
They need to find a Dragon Ball Z, the next Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, they just need to find that one thing, and I can't say what it is because we can't see what happens in the next 5 years. But I just say they have 5 years, and if they don't do it within then, they're just going to give it a one-shot random and hope. But really, they're not going to license anything old. They're not. They have this backlog there, and I think their only chance now, and I think they probably realise this, is they just have to stall. I mean, why are they simulcasting Freezing? Because they're stalling for time. They don't have anything else anymore. I just think they have that 10 million left. That 10 million is going to go on a gamble. And I think, you say about the dark ages of anime, but if anything, the next 5 years are going to be the dark ages, because they can't do anything until they get that one thing. And as soon as they do, we may see it, and maybe we'll never see Funimation again after that. But I think it's more of a case of just have to stall for time. It's not a case of what Funimation's demographics are. We know they're going to be low. We just need to look at Funimation and say, when are they going to take the risk, and if their demographics go below 5 million, I think they're going to go straight for the risk.
Yeah.
And I think that's the moment we're going to see whether Western otaku culture can literally survive the hellstorm.
Yeah. Well,
that's the thing. Sorry, just to take over for a brief second. It will pass. What we're now referring to as the Dark Ages. Whether Funimation is at the end of that, no one can really tell.
Yeah.
Again, there's the risk idea. There's Funimation may go, but the Dark Ages of the Western otaku will pass.
Right.
That's because no one will ever stop thinking that anime will sell in the Western culture. Because no businessman is that stupid. They know there's a community behind it. They know, and once Japan starts, if towards the end of the Dark Ages, a lot of companies are dying, Japan will notice the fact that billions of people are watching fan subs online. They're going to start thinking, wow, we need to start setting up some Western companies. Again, I don't know if this thing has happened before, but when the Dark Ages are over, either new companies will be there or the old companies will be struggling along.
Yeah.
Well, but it will pass eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Funimation. They were Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, that was all they had. That was all they licensed. That was all they did. And then I don't know who the company decided to change that, but they decided let's go after some interesting titles, and they started licensing some really interesting stuff, and they really turned the company around. But they were just one of these random, we got this one license company for a long time. And it could be, they went in a direction that made sense, and unfortunately it just ended up in this place. What can you do? Yeah.
It's just typical of any business, really.
Right. You do what you can. And
I would say that there is actually a couple of anime that possibly have a good chance of coming here. One, for example, is the Katekyo Hitman Reborn anime. That has a pretty good chance. It's a pretty good. First, it starts as a comedy manga, then goes into a battle manga. But that has a good chance. The whole thing, at least the whole first, I wouldn't even call it a season because it has like 5 or 6 seasons on there. But it's like about 100 and something episodes, 190, I think.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good run though. It's a pretty good battle manga for what it is.
And actually,
maybe not as epic as Dragon Ball Z, but it's pretty good times.
Actually, something I wanted to come back, something that was mentioned in the chat room that I thought was very insightful. Lanky Giza points out the fact that we may want them to dub things and bring them over here, but if the dub comes out, if we don't like the dub, or if the dub comes out too late, we won't buy it.
Yeah.
So Funimation's in that position that they could license a great show, but no one's going to buy it. I think Panty and Stocking's in that situation where I think most of the folks who are going to watch Panty and Stocking already have, and they're probably not going to buy it on DVD. So it's a tough place.
Probably it's not long enough is the thing. Like, I think it went on for a whole season, didn't it? 25 episodes.
Yeah.
13 episodes.
Yeah.
It's only 13? Wow.
13 episodes with possible announced partial joke second series, which Gynax seemed to go, we should probably do this, otherwise we're going to be hated forever.
Not that they care.
Yeah. But still, it seems to be 25 episode anime is the big winners. I mean, at 25 and up, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe the exception would be Fooly Cooly. That's like the only
Well,
thing
it's an OVA. Different thing.
Yeah, I know, OVA, but like still, it's like 6 episodes. Yeah, I know it's a different thing, but And so I'm talking about episodes, and I'm not talking about like sections. Like, what I'm saying is, like, I'm trying to think of like the best, like really good anime that really came over here and worked. Naruto's working, it's obviously over. Bleach is working, it's obviously over. I'm not over Dead and Dumb, but over as in over the 25 episode limit that I've set.
Yeah. Pokemon.
Pokemon, exactly. And I've heard that someone dubbed Fairy Tail, and Fairy Tail is actually a really popular manga in Japan. It's made by the same guy who did Master, which is actually a really good manga.
Okay.
Despite the bad dub. Which I think, I'm pretty sure it was 4Kids, or it was a company similar to 4Kids, because they did this really song, and they censored all the God imagery. Anyway, but yeah, stuff like over 25 episodes, that's usually where it's going to succeed, because if it's a 13-episode anime, like panty and stocking, just like, oh, I have 13 episodes right here. However, when it gets over 13, that's where it gets difficult, because people are, I really doubt people are going to put over 25 episodes of one anime on their hard drive.
Well, and although that also gets into the issue of how do you sell that, at a price point folks are willing to pay, because that's a lot of stuff to put onto a box set.
Yeah. Well, yeah, usually they end up, that is actually a problem that Funimation, every anime distributor has been having for a while now. I mean, even I admit that the Gurren Lagann DVDs, the ones that were English dubbed and subbed, were in these huge boxes, but they're just so expensive. I mean, sure, you have a cordial, and it's so expensive. And instead, I bought the $20 ones with only the sub, and I was like, that was just a better deal.
Yeah.
This has been a common problem. And they did solve it with Oron Host Club though recently, with having the whole series in one disc or a series. I don't really remember. And they're solving it now with Yu Yu Hakusho at least, because they have like one season, 4 discs, tons of episodes, like 1 through 27 of episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho, and that was about $30.
Yeah. By the way, someone asked how well K-On! Is doing. I think K-On! Is a good example. I very much doubt that K-On! Is selling well. I think that's another case of the kind of actually, I'm not sure if K-On! Is out yet or not.
It's not.
It's not? Okay. It'll be interesting to try to those numbers, though.
Well, technically.
Because K-On! Is one of those shows where everyone who's watched it already has. It has its fan base. The folks who didn't want it didn't watch it, and I don't know who's going to be buying those DVDs.
Yeah. Another thing I want to address on this chat room was the fact that someone said what's going to happen to the voice actors. And the thing about a lot of most, actually, of Japanese voice actors, not Japanese, sorry, English dub voice actors, is they do video games.
Yeah.
To name one, Crispin Freeman. Crispin Freeman does a boatload of video games. He was in the Lord of the Rings video game, the Pirates of the Caribbean MMO. They do video games. Probably more money than
too.
Yeah. And actually... Here's my part of the trivia. The guy who does the voice of Kamina does the voice of Ryu Street Fighter 4. Oh, nice.
And Vic Mignogna does the voice of Vega from Street Fighter 4.
Oh, very cool.
He's the Spanish guy at the mask.
Very cool. And that's and in terms of voice actors, I think one of the things we're going to see, again, crystal ball here, but we're going to see less dubbing.
Yeah.
It's not going to make financial sense. If this continues on, it doesn't make financial sense to dub a lot of these things. And we've talked about this. There are a lot of other foreign film and TV things where when they're brought over here, they don't get dubbed. And that's just what those fans are used to, that you rarely get a dub of those things. So we may just be entering that phase.
Well, that's up with one thing, though, and that's with the kids. Because, for example...
And TV stuff.
That's why Dragon Ball needed a dub. That's why Naruto needed a dub. Because the kids want... dubs are really needed for to go on television. That's why I've been saying with... apparently there have been work that Hero Man, if you remember that anime, it was done by Bones.
Yeah.
There's been talk that it's been trying to get over here. I don't know where it is right now. But it definitely needs to get done. Like, I think that should be the next generation, even if it's only a 25-episode anime.
Yeah.
Also, there have been rumors that season 2 is going to be going around, with that ending. At least it's open for a season 2.
Okay. Well, it is a Stan Lee concept, so it's open-ended. Oh my gosh. And it's gonna be. Someone asked, does this mean more fan subs? I don't know that it's possible for there to be more fan subs.
It's true.
Everything gets fan
out
subs.
there has a fan sub.
But yes, fan subs are going to be there.
Too. One of them fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the greatest fan sub ever.
The fan sub quality has become a whole interesting topic. But yeah, there's that's there, and it's again one of the problems is that we have all these fan subs out there. So the question is, okay, how do we react to that? It's one of the reasons why you have One Piece suing leaked people, and other companies going after this to say, okay, that's nice, but we need to behave about fan subs basically. It's why I I don't think it was the right thing, but the whole thing about pulling back on Fractal. You know, I appreciate the original studios saying, look, we're not going to continue playing nice if your fan base isn't playing nice. You know, we're okay with you fan subbing it, but it's available to you now. Get rid of the fan subs. That does make sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I'd still, like, even when times like this are still going on, where there's like saying, you know, no downloads, no fan subs, otherwise we'd kill you. I just would like to say thank you to mainly Funimation, actually. Well, Funimation and Manga Entertainment, but mainly Funimation, for being absolutely 100% forgiving to AMV creators, like myself, because our method is we look for raw and subbed episodes, and I did this with Phantom through Funimation's main site itself, and we download all of them, and then we work from there. And you know, the fact is that clearly there are episodes which they have taken off their streams, which I, for example, myself, in my Phantom AMV that I'm currently doing, that aren't on there, and yet I put them up there, and Funimation, I've had several times that Funimation have clearly recognised that this is their content that shouldn't even be there. And they haven't taken me down, they haven't taken a single video down, and instead they have been extremely forgiving towards us, and have actually very kindly helped support us by giving us some actual bit of advertising for it.
That's cool.
Having, like, and sort of, and it's amazing that, I mean, I badmouth Funimation a lot, but it's incredible that a company like Funimation, who are constantly taking us down for things, are also the ones who are keeping us going. And in terms of AMV creators on YouTube, like myself, we just like to all, on behalf of all the dubbing companies, thank you guys for not being reasonable, rational human beings and actually being slight idiots by letting us use content which we shouldn't even have.
It's a remark. I remember talking to Adam Sheehan of Funimation at one of the cons and explaining, you know, I do these shows on YouTube, and he said, oh, that's cool. And I said, and I put up, you know, images and so forth, and he said, okay. He said, that's absolutely fine. As long as you're not, you know, throwing up full episodes on there, we're fine with that. We're totally cool. I'm like, really? Yeah, that's fine. And you know, they're very, very good about this. And obviously, there are some exceptions to that. And who knows what all of the reasons behind all that is. But they're, you know, it's one nice thing is that, you know, in so many of these fan bases, we'll get companies who say, we're here for the fans. And they're not. But generally speaking, in terms of anime companies, you know, they really are pretty much all run by fans. Now, they're fans trying to run a business, but they're all pretty reasonable people, which is very nice. Now, of course, you know, the other side of that debate about this whole issue is that, you know, if Funimation goes down, that means less money to the original Japanese companies. You know, if these companies die and we see you know, the American market contracting, that is going to result in directly the Japanese market contracting, and that's the real scary bit. I'm not as concerned about, you know, the American market is a supplemental market, but it now feeds back directly to the Japanese market so closely that I think, you know, we got to wonder, you know, that going down can have some really strong effects on the industry as a whole. So, so we'll see. Who knows? All right. Anything else you want to cover?
One more point on then Funimation then before we finish up.
Well, we're not finished up yet. We still have a question to do, my friend.
It's true.
Oh, yeah. But I personally would not like to see Funimation die because they've licensed Touhou and Medusa no Index. And I'd like to be able to buy the DVD of that. But yeah, that's just a personal thing, 'cause I honestly don't know how well Touhou reduces no index itself, because I have yet to meet someone that's watched it on the. Mind you, I don't go on anime forums. I don't. You know, the people I talk to about anime don't watch anime.
There's a healthy fan base out there, but not a healthy one that will buy it via ONV fan rules. So it wouldn't sell, sadly. But I can promise you it's a very popular and well-reviewed series, and that you're a very good man of good taste for watching that, and I'm a very bad man of bad taste for not watching it.
But yeah, that's my personal reason why I'd like to. And I just want the excuse to yell at Funimation for getting a horrible voice actress for Misaka Mikoto, because I know they'll do it wrong.
Yeah.
Because no one can do Misaka Mikoto in English. It's Japanese, and it's awesome. Yes, I'm upset. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I say exactly the same thing about Ein, so absolutely fair, friend.
So, moving on to question of the week, as folks have been very kind to remind me of, since I keep forgetting. So the question of the week from last week was, what is the most intellectually challenging anime you've seen, specifically meaning the anime that's made you think the most? You know, you kind of stood up and walked away and were just thinking about it for the next 3 days or whatever.
Confusing animes don't count.
Right, confusing animes don't count.
Ones which actually made you think about it afterwards, like through theoretical opinions and stuff.
Exactly. I got one comment from Mind Flack, whose his answer was Kino's Journey had him think the most, and I can certainly understand why. That's a very philosophical, thoughtful title. And Lanky Giza, actually, who's there in the chat room right now, Noin is the one, which, again, I can understand that. So after watching Noin, I got even more interested in theoretical physics and discovered that many of the theories in the anime are actual real theories, and that was fascinating. Really made me think and change my perspective on how I see the world with the ideas of quantum mechanics. So that's pretty darn cool. So those are all the responses that I've seen. What about you guys? Matt, what's the most intellectually challenging anime you've seen?
Did you refer to, what did you say for Lanky Giza?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's British. I think it's Lanky Giza.
Okay.
Because lanky means tall. Anyway,
right.
Tall and skinny. And then there's Giza, which is old person.
Well, this is G-E-E-Z-A. So I don't know if that's a... what?
Actually, I have the DVD. Yeah. Jinro.
Ah, there we go! And it all comes back together.
This was the thing that made me think the most. Yes, it was also confusing, because I was currently half asleep at the time I watched it. So it was kind of, wait a second, what's going on? Maybe? What, am I watching Lost? But yeah, it was definitely... Because just the whole thing about, the government and the, the deceit and the lies and all that, just, it got me thinking about, it's real. That kind of stuff happens, not to that grandeur scale, but, well, sometimes it does. But, it just made me think about, this could happen. This is amazing. This, and I think about all the stuff that was going on, and it was racking my brain for weeks, basically, was Jinro.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And Jinro's based on real events. I mean, a lot of that stuff really did happen on one level or another, like you say, not quite to that scale that we know of, but there were a lot of these student protests. There were these kind of quasi-secret government police, these sort of special SWAT teams, and a lot of this stuff, really did happen. So that is interesting. Miniman, how about you? And don't say Phantom.
Oh no, trust me, Phantom is not an intellectually challenging anime. It's very well directed, but trust me, it's not one to make you think as much as you ponder. Now, I did send an email about this just because I was worried I wouldn't be on the show, but I'll try and rephrase it in my good words. It has to be the epilogue to Karen no Kyokai, The Garden of Sinners. Because Karen no Kyokai, The Garden of Sinners is already semi-quasi-confusing, very theoretically think about
very
the
subtle
origins
too.
of everything. Yeah, very, very subtle. And as you go on, it expands throughout the series about the origins and loads of different theories about what could the origins of everything be, and and it's quite disturbing in that matter. But here comes the epilogue, and here comes the big one where everyone thinks it's going to be an action episode, because that's what Ufotable are known for. Like at this point with the series, and so for starters, you defy all expectation by giving us a 30-minute conversation, nothing else. And originally,